Thank you, Raina. 9:18 the time. Time to talk winners and losers with financial expert Rob Black joining us as always to go over what we're seeing on Wall Street. And again, Rob, another down day. Russia, Ukraine, once again dominating headlines, not just globally, but financially as well.
Sure. Let me kind of try to wrap my head around this a little bit for everyone. January was a down month. February was a down month. We had 10 basically up years in a row. So a lot of things are coinciding at the same time. It's not ideal that Russia is invading Ukraine at a time when inflation is spiking in the United States, maybe due to the pandemic of getting stimulus checks, maybe due to supply chains being disrupted. But inflation's a problem, and now it's going to get worse because oil's above $100 a barrel at $104 today. It's up about 4.5–5%. Most experts see it going to 125, which means you and I pay more for gas. You and I pay more for airline flights. Anything that we buy is transported to that store, and they're going to pay higher transportation costs. So it's a problem. And it's not something we should laugh off and go, oh, every major conflict, we're back to where we were 50 days after it's over. I get it. I don't want to belittle this. I want to use a little bit of history, but a little bit of sensitivity as well. Yeah. The ruble's worth less than a penny today.
Oh, wow.
That's not good.
Wow.
Because Russians are going to the bank saying, we want our rubles. And we want to turn them into cash, or maybe they're turning them into Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up 17% yesterday. And a lot of people think the Russian billionaires are hiding money there, as well as Russian citizens. It's interesting to note. I feel like everything else is fluffy today. Like the 30-year mortgage sits at 4.22%, which is high. I got one a year ago for 2.5%. The unretirements, people who retired in the pandemic during January 2021, they're starting to come back to the work to the tune of about 3%. So you thought you were playing golf, you're coming back to work, many of them. And Target had a great quarter. So this market has some winners and losers, but right now it's favoring value over growth.
Interesting. While you were talking, I was just checking oil prices, and it actually jumped now. Brent crude up at $107 a barrel. And if you just look at the Dow, it was off by more than 700 points this morning. It's going to be tough, and we have the State of the Union coming up tonight. So President Biden's going to be talking about the economy to people, talking about international politics as well with Russia and Ukraine. What are you looking for? What does Wall Street look for out of the State of the Union? Will it respond depending on what he has to say?
Not wanting to get too political, but what I would like Biden to say tonight is, I've called Saudi Arabia. I've asked them to pump as much oil as they can until we get through this crisis. That'll flood the market with oil, and that'll help solve some of the economic damage that is happening around the world, not just Russia and Ukraine. I'd like for him to say, we have a plan for inflation in the United States, but it's not going to be short term. It's going to take a good year. Higher rents don't go lower in a year when we sign year-long contracts. Higher mortgage rates will drive home prices down, but it's going to take some time as people tend to hold on to the real estate and say, I'm going to wait. But the stock market's deflating, which is good. If I were Biden, I'd focus on the oil, because that's the number one thing from the economic standpoint of keeping our economy healthy. People tend to be happier when they have jobs. His ratings are incredibly low right now going into the midterm elections, which another headwind that we're going to have to deal with in the next 6 to 8 months on Wall Street. Of what does a Democrat Congress look like? What does a Republican Congress look like? What does this mean for 2024? So a lot going on there, James.
Well, you bring up a good point about the oil, because it is that direct line from what's happening with Russia and Ukraine to what we're seeing at our corner gas station. I know prices at the pump for me jumped dramatically. The cheapest, the unleaded gas at the station closest to my house was $4.99 before Russia's invasion. Now it's at $5.09. It jumped a dime in just a matter of days. And a lot of analysts say we're not seeing the end of it.
No, and I don't think we will until the conflict is over. But this can also cause stagflation, where we're growing, but inflation's growing with us. So it's kind of a muted growth. The last time we saw this was during the Reagan era. And it's one of the worst words you could say on Wall Street is stagflation. Inflation's better than stagflation. Deflation's the worst of all the flations. But the gas prices aren't going to drop heading into the summer months. What maybe another thing Biden could say tonight is, I'm going to ask Congress to repeal all federal gas taxes. If Newsom were to say we're going to repeal or shut down the gas taxes in California for the next 3 months, that would help the economy as well. Again, trying to relate Ukraine and death of human beings to gasoline prices in the United States, it feels callous. A healthy economy goes a long way to solving a lot of the problems in the world.
No, well, it just highlights how we're impacted in various many ways by what's happening over there. Thank you very much, Rob, as always, for your perspective. And we'll be chatting with Rob again tomorrow to see how the markets react to the latest developments in Russia, Ukraine, and the State of the Union address tonight. If you have a question or a concern that you'd like Rob to address, let him know. Facebook, Twitter, you see his handles there. You can also email him directly, rob@robblack.com. Thank you, Rob. We'll see you tomorrow.